Well, I did go looking for David Byrne in New York.
What do you mean?
Well,
Speaking to a journalist.
No, I know, but I didn't kidnap him or anything. I just.
No, I don't. I'm not looking for a singing parts. Just going to put that out there.
I didn't really listen to your songs back in the day.
Is this my guitar?
Yeah, got that at auction.
Oh, wow, you are a fan.
My favourite is always Maguire Mortimer. Your music changed everything.
He's gone to get his guitar.
Oh, has he? Has he? Ah.
And I guess starting with you three who have been involved from the short film, was it something that you'd had discussions about expanding for quite a while before it came to doing so? How much did you kind of think about it in the time between that short film and then this film?
Thought about it a lot, definitely.
We definitely all thought about it. Yeah, it was definitely something that we went for a lot of curries, and would end up saying we got to
anyway.
Yeah, we got to go back to that thing. I think we just all felt very nostalgic about how much fun it was to make the short, and and as you increasingly move away from that period, you realise how rare that is, that you come together and enjoy each other creatively that much in what you kind of the output. So yeah, it was something that we always discussed, and it became towards the end kind of untenable, like just painful that we would never the idea.
He moved back from LA just expressly to kind of put pressure on us.
Yes, I think if I'm just living there, it'll make a difference. Yeah, I mean it was partly, I guess, the COVID as well, sort of stopping everything, so everyone's sort of work calmed down, and we actually had an opportunity to sort of reset and then revisit. And the guys wrote an amazing script, and then we're off.
And did that expansion of the script come quite naturally? How many different kind of avenues could it have gone down from the...
Yeah, I think when we actually started writing it in earnest, about 5 years ago or so, I think actually the script came together quite fast, and we had a real breakthrough moment where we came up with the character of Nell, and through her just introduced this idea of the backstory, the history, the sense of nostalgia and loss and melancholy that comes with characters looking back at a point in their life, which all of them are in some way doing. So I think that was the moment when the film started to crystallise for us and feel like this could be a lot bigger and better than the short film.
And how much did the character of Charles kind of change? How much did you kind of enjoy expanding that character, Tim?
It didn't change that much. I mean, what changed, I suppose, was in the short, there's not so much space to have quite so much backstory, I suppose, and it's less relevant in the short. But yeah, in this one, there was a few more elements thrown into him. But really, it was just the same as doing the short. You just doing it for longer. Yeah. But I mean,
what a great answer.
Well, it's difficult to answer these questions. I do think that of all the different parts that you do along the way, this is kind of one of my favourites. I don't know why. It kind of it feels very it's terrible. It feels natural to do it. I mean, the guy's all over the place, but yeah, I like doing it, and the scenes are just really enjoyable. I guess, like with any part, once you feel like you're under the skin of that part, then it's kind of interesting seeing him in different situations, and it's got something quite satisfying about knowing instinctively what this person would say in this situation, even if that's nonsense.
Yeah. And then Carey, for you joining the cast, obviously I was kind of thinking a bit about Inside Llewyn Davis in terms of that folk music aspect. Obviously it's different in terms of setting and time period and kind of tone as well. But was that part of the appeal for you, kind of this the world of folk music and kind of doing something in this space?
I don't know if it was part of, I mean, no, I don't, I'm not looking for a singing parts. Just going to put that out there. But I just love the script so much. And I do, it's a very romantic world, the music. And there's just so much about music that, is so evocative, and it brings us to points in our lives so instantly, like a smell. You just hear one song and immediately you go back to being 21, remembering exactly where you were when you heard it, and the script is so full of that. So it's definitely so interesting to explore as a subject, but no, I wasn't hankering after a solo on this one.
In terms of the portrayal of, I guess, obsessive fandom sometimes in film and TV can, kind of, you think of the characters as a little bit crazed or whatever, and obviously Charles is eccentric, but the more we learn about him, the more we understand that, I guess, obsessive fandom and where it comes from and the personal connection. Was that something that any of you could relate to, having that kind of, not necessarily an obsession, but really kind of holding, you know, a piece of art or musician or filmmaker or anyone kind of dear? Is that something that any of you can relate to?
I think we've all got our sort of, you know, cultural crushes in that respect, and probably done quite weird things. I realise I once followed Ian McEwan around a shopping centre for about an hour. And it was doing my Christmas shopping. You know, I just saw Ian. I was out shopping. I saw Ian McEwan.
Do you realise you're speaking to a journalist?
No, I know, but I didn't kidnap him or anything. And I just followed him around different shops. I don't think that's illegal, by the way. Just following someone around a shop.
Well, I've got to say, I followed Mike Atherton and Matthew Syed across a park.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so there's some history.
Followed anyone?
Well, I did go looking for David Byrne in New York.
What do you mean?
Well, I'd read in an article where he lived. He sort of lived off Worcester and something, and I thought if I just hung out at Dina DeLuca's, I might bump into him. But I actually, as I was walking into Dina DeLuca's, Lou Reed came out. So it was like
Did you follow him?
yeah.
Did you?
Oh no, only one block, but yes.
Okay.
No, so that was David. I went looking for David Byrne in a sort of just a
found Lou
touristy
Reed?
way. Yeah, found Lou Reed.
What did you want to happen with Ian McEwan?
No idea.
You just wanted to make eye contact.
But I think this is the kind of interesting thing about fandom, isn't it? Is that actually I don't really know what the end game is. What do people actually want? You know what I mean? Like it's that often that crazy thing of wanting to be near someone, wanting some of that kind of greatness to rub off on you, but not really knowing how or what that might mean.
I think I wanted to be in a pub with Mike Atherton, with us both sort of having a beer. But it's how
Together or just the different
together,
tables?
together. But how do you turn it from a park follow into a beer with?
Very difficult. Very difficult.
One of the other things I like about the film as well is it's kind of like, I feel there's a lot there about what it means to be successful and what it means to kind of have ambition and the different ways that can happen. And I like how when we meet Nell again, you know, she's maybe not continued in her music career, but she seems quite fulfilled in other ways. Was that something that you were all interested to explore, this idea of what it means to be successful, what it means to be ambitious?
Yeah, I certainly felt in Herb's character specifically this kind of creative journey and sort of making certain decisions when you're younger that may be financially motivated or other motivations kind of creep into that creative process. So I kind of felt I really related to that. And then how when you get to a certain point, you look back and think, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Thankfully for me, I got here at the end of that journey. But it's still, when you're on that creative path, it is hard to make those decisions. And I feel that in Herb's sort of path and his story, that he's chased other things when he was younger. That actually, when you get to sort of measuring success as you get older, it becomes more about, you know, creative fulfillment and happiness and all those things rather than trophies and metrics that you can't control. Yeah.
Was that something that you all felt?
Definitely. I mean, I think, you know, at the heart of the film, there's the question about sort of authenticity and people kind of, you know, just sort of accepting reality as it is rather than hankering after something something illusory, something they think they want, a kind of relevance or a kind of fame or a kind of redemption. And actually, like, you know, a big part of this film is about people kind of making peace with what their life is now.
And then I just wanted to quickly ask about the actual kind of musical component as well, and kind of creating this back catalogue of songs, but also even just photo shoots and stuff, and creating this believability of the duo. Was that something that was, you know, one of the most exciting parts of the process? Was that difficult? Was that challenging?
It was exciting. I'd say it was kind of scary. I think it was sort of thrown together a little bit, wasn't it? The way that we had to do it.
Yeah, we did a photo shoot in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
For that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, fully clothed at a swimming pool. I mean, it's funny because obviously we'd never worked with Carey before, but just so quickly we just had an instant kind of like, you know, sensibility and a sort of shared way of working, and it honestly just felt so organic, the whole thing, that kind of creating the band, the way of shooting, it was lovely. It was all
But it was all
really good.
really sort of, because we didn't do any of that stuff till we got there.
Yeah.
So like the first day we filmed, they took a couple of pictures of us and then they made that into an NME cover.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend we got in a swimming pool and did a sort
Yes, it was like a reality TV show where you become a band in 36 hours.
And they made all this like merch and they made all these like
Yeah, the
magazine
t-shirts.
covers from wearing t-shirts but it all happened like sort of on the weekend when we were
Yeah,
filming.
and very quickly. But it was.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to the film. I think we all feel like that authenticity or that idea that this band could be real, if you searched online, was so important to kind of make sure it didn't feel like you'd pull the audience out of the film by thinking this isn't real.
Yeah.
There was because there's a bit of it you think this could be a band. You know, you want people to think that.
It is a band. The albums are on Apple Music and Spotify. Just,
And vinyl.
and vinyl and CD soon.
Soon. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
on that note, unfortunately, I'm out of time. It's going to plug it in the end. Yeah. And thanks very much for you.